Hey everyone, welcome to our first installment of our new series called WTF PhD, where I go through questions that folks have posted on Reddit about grad school and give my take. I am not an avid Redditor, but I do like to keep an eye on what people are asking and what they're talking about. And I have kind of been making a list of questions that I thought would resonate with a lot of people. And so there is one that struck me that this was posted about a month ago as of the day that I'm recording. And it hit me straight in my heart. So I wanted to tackle it first. So here we go. The Redditor posts, I have just applied for grad school 8 years after my undergraduate degree. I'm vaguely terrified. I work full-time and will continue to work full-time while I pursue this degree. How has it been / was it going back to grad school after so much time? Do you feel like it prepared you to take such a large gap, or was it more difficult? And I should have said the title of this post, did anybody start grad school later in life? Okay, so my love, this was posted by UCF Nights 2018. My love, UCF Nights 2018. Please know that 8 years after undergraduate is not later in life. If you finished undergraduate before 25, you're in your early 30s, you are just hitting your stride. Truly, truly, truly. I want you to know that I know and have worked with multiple people who had a whole career, raised children, and went back to graduate school in their 50s and 60s and even later. And all of those people thrived. I just mean accomplishments. And it's really interesting for me as someone who used to work in administration with graduate students and I am a trained academic life coach, and I did academic life coaching for graduate students, and I worked with graduate students across the spectrum. You know, folks who were doing kind of like a concurrent master's with their bachelor's, and folks who had gone straight from undergraduate to graduate school, as well as these folks that had, decided to come back to graduate school much later in life. And none of those is bad and none of those is wrong, but there's different pros and cons to whichever way you're going to do it. It's true that grad school is not going to be easy, so I understand feeling vaguely terrified. But I will tell you that a lot of the folks that I work with that did go to grad school later in life, they were very accomplished. One person I know co-wrote an entire book with one of the leaders in her field while she was in coursework, which is just that's not what most folks in coursework are doing. But because they had a really kind of high pressure career before grad school, they had fantastic time management skills. They knew how to juggle competing deadlines. And I'm not going to lie, I'll be very honest. Some of those folks who came to grad school later were more financially stable, and that helps. It doesn't do any service to anyone to say, to not admit that being financially stable makes this incredibly difficult process just a little bit easier. And I have other examples. I know a lot of people who did grad school later in life than what's considered traditional and really thrived. Now, just because I said at the beginning that I wouldn't consider you later in life because, if it's 8 years after undergrad, you're probably somewhere in your early 30s. You still have assets that you've gained in that time that are going to help you in graduate school. For instance, your frontal lobe is completely developed. You have work experience, which is, again, probably going to help you manage time and the workload. A thing that I see a lot in people who go straight from undergrad to graduate school is that they're not prepared for how flexible your time is in grad school, that it's not as structured and you have to be your own boss a lot more. There's a good chance you have already gotten a taste of that and figured out some systems for how you work in your career. And again, I think it's fantastic that you're going to work through grad school, because financial stability really can make this process a lot easier. So that is my take. I wish you all the best. I hope you have a fantastic time in grad school. I am so, so, so excited for you. But it's definitely not too late. And in my experience of people I've worked with, far from it being more difficult to go later in life, there are some ways in which it is significantly easier. I know very few people for whom it was just easy. I don't think I know anyone for whom it was just easy. But there are some things that are easier about it. So I hope you enjoy it. I'm so excited for your journey. We are wishing you the best of luck, and I hope that you keep us updated on how you're doing. All right, my love. All right, UCF Nights 2018. I hope to talk to you soon.